Live from Run Your Mouth World Headquarters.
Paul Pelosi's attacker, David DePape, has been sentenced to life without parole, leaving Paul still looking for a new lover. Next, the drugs making Syria the new spring break hotspot. In election news, with the deep state going all in for Kamala Harris, we ask, how much war are they looking for? And we speak to the interior designers looking to expand Gitmo for the new administration. And lastly, this clip has voters wondering if Kamala Harris is cheating on Doug with a lady named Joy.
Joy cometh in the morning. Joy cometh in the morning.
It's your daily dose of misinformation, pulled from a lightly hemorrhoided asshole. It's today's Run Your Mouth!
People try and tell you what you gotta do. Don't listen to them unless you think it's true. Follow your heart and your dreams. Follow your heart and your dreams.
All right, and so in some of the absolutely psychotic ads that have been making the rounds, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but apparently these have been going out to people. Let's give it a watch.
Oh! Sorry, you can't do that.
What the hell, man? How'd you get in here?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we're banning porn nationwide.
You can't tell me what to do. Get out of my bedroom, you creep!
I won the last election, so it's my decision. I'm just gonna watch and make sure you don't finish illegally.
That's pretty crazy.
I gotta say, I kind of like that old Republican congressman. I like the idea of that guy coming to my house and helping me get my shit together. That guy actually seems like he might be good for me.
Oh, you think like he's like a life coach trying
Yeah.
to get you to not jerk off so you
Yeah,
finally finish writing a sketch?
Yeah, middle of the afternoon. He's like, do you really need to do that again? Are you really going to eat more donuts?
What are you, 13 and home from school?
Yeah, exactly. As if there's a Donald Trump that's actually an anti-porn America. It's amazing that they're playing this card that if you're voting for Republicans, they're going to take away porn from you.
Yeah, if you vote for Donald Trump, that guy who bribed a porn star to shut the fuck up. He's going to ban porn.
He's the guy that's going to take porn from you.
He wouldn't have known he wanted to fuck that lady.
Right. I love like the theatrical trailer for like, in a world where you can't jerk off anymore. Men go back to their basements.
Yeah, right. Well, it turns out we invented the Hyperloop finally.
Yeah.
Just warp speed technology just all of a sudden materializes.
We all either lived in dorm rooms, had parents. We all figured out how to jerk off. We figured out how to get our hands on porn. I don't think that's an issue facing the country.
Not at all. And also, we'd cure the cancer we'd all get from not jerking off.
There you go. That's science once again. All right, so here was another campaign ad in the same vein. Let's give it a watch.
Oh, God. The condom broke.
Oh, I have plan B in the bathroom.
Great. I'm gonna go get that now.
All right, so I want to...
Hell yeah. This motherfucker is Slender Man.
All right, before we even play what he says, I want to point out that the Democrats clearly only employ marketing people who are gay because, firstly...
That's a hot dude? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, it's a hot dude, but also like the ladies on top having an orgasm. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, come on.
And then, wait, you're getting up to the ladies' bathroom on a one-night stand to go get the plan B that's already there? That's not a thing.
Yeah, that's never...
You think a lady on a one-night stand is going to let you just fish around in her drug cabinet?
You could be in a lady's bathroom and the box of yesterday's plan B is in there and she doesn't have a second one. You're like, fuck, lady. Plan ahead. So I've never met a woman good at budgeting is what I'm saying.
I love that, like, you know, while they're pitching, hey, they're going to take sex away from you. This was clearly written by gay people. All right. So here, let's
Dude,
play
there's
it.
nothing gayer than that fucking I'm a real man. Why did they hire all clearly gay men for the I'm a man fucking video? It was just like, I don't think these guys are real men. They get fucked in the ass.
Sorry, you can't use that.
Who are you?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we banned Plan B.
No, you can't. You can't do this. I can't have a kid right now.
I won the last election, so it's my decision.
Firstly, I don't think anyone's trying to ban Plan B.
I don't think so.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So what? So
there you go. And by the way, if they get
there's
rid
a-
of Plan B, then you got to go with Plan C, which is just punching her real hard.
luckily, I live in this house with luckily, that's a walk-up apartment.
You can't do this. I can't have a kid right now.
I won the last election, so it's my decision. Now let's get back in there so we can give her the news, Daddy.
Wow, gay again.
I guess the lizard people don't know how sex works.
Well, no, there's the thing, like what you said, like nobody's trying to outlaw Plan. So they do this weird thing where they talk about the abortion pill and as if it's Plan B, and a lot of people don't realize, particularly like a middle-aged person, like we normally not like realize that those are different things. Like there's an abortion pill that you can take once you're pregnant that like will terminate a pregnancy, right? That's most abortions. So it's like if you're against abortion, you would want that, but that's not what Plan B is. But
Right.
what they do is when Democrats talk about it, they talk about it in this weird ambiguous way where it seems like it's the same thing. And if you don't know, because you're me and you don't care what happens to a lady's pussy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You just don't know. You have to like find out.
Right.
And like, it's like, I don't fucking know. It's like, unless you've taken the abortion pill, you probably don't know that those two things are different. You know what I mean?
Right. All right, let's see what this is. I don't even know what video this is. Let's give it a watch. Oh, just in terms of disastrous campaign ads, this one is so funny.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want. And no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walz. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
Why did her husband go the other way?
Oh, he was.
She just left with that lady.
That was one creepy husband, by the way. What's that lady doing with that fucking creep?
She's way better looking than him.
Yeah, I love like the rapey vision for the Democrats' America that every woman has, I guess, a husband that she's afraid of, and they're letting you know, hey, you can vote the way that you want to vote.
Yeah, that's basically what they're saying. But it's also, there's a weird thing where it's like the one place where women still have a right. More than Mississippi is to the left of Denmark on abortion. Do you guys realize, like, it's 15 weeks in Mississippi. It's 12 weeks in most European countries. Like, it's not.
That's because they have better genes than their keepers.
It's fair. Yeah. Yeah. We should just use eminent domain on Mississippi and kick them all out. We should just trade them for Haitians. At least they're killing the cats.
All right. Let's see what this guy is. I don't remember. Oh, we just watched that. All right. So this was another just wild story. So Tim Walz accused of pushing Chinese Communist Party officials' daughter to brink of suicide during storm-tossed love affair in 1980s made me feel cheap. And, dude, firstly, the fact that you're telling me Tim Walz wasn't gay sounds like a win, all right? And secondly, we're really going to we're going to look up people that politicians love-bombed in foreign countries 40 years ago. That's insanity. As if that's a news story.
Can we throw this out there? That's the only time Tim Walz has looked cool ever. That's wild. Look at that.
It's like the racer glasses.
Yeah, right? But also, yeah, he lived in China for a while, right? He lied about being at Tiananmen Square, but he was actually in China a year earlier or something.
Classic knucklehead behavior. Yeah. But, all right, I can't read this. Can you read this? Because it's pretty incredible how not newsworthy
According
this is.
to an open letter, Wang also, he's a gay man, okay. Also authored and shared with the Post seeking to warn the American electorate about Walz. The two were like husband and wife at first. sharing tea and holding hands privately. That's all the Communist Party of China will allow you to do. Hold hands privately.
But that's the fucking news, is that he love bombed her and that they had tea privately, and then he went back to America and she's still mad about this. What does that say about Asian men that you're this upset about losing your chance with Tim Walz? Here,
Walz, now 60, arrived in China through I don't even know. I can't. It's blurry.
All right.
Sorry, bud.
Fair enough. We can move on. That was more from that article with the nonsense from the New York Post. And then, as it is, the idea that Tim Walz is anything other than gay. Let's give this a watch. I mean, that's why he was having tea with a lady.
I mean, have you seen
Look
Doug?
at this. Look at this. Look at this. Wait. Just instinctively, he goes to do cha-cha kicks. Yeah. There's no reason for it. He just spaced out and was like...
Whoa. Hold on. Hold on. Bring it back a second.
Nazi walk?
Yeah.
He accidentally falls into the Nazi walk.
Yeah, look, watch. Whoop. Whoop. Dude, they were getting people for doing the gotcha shit, like for white power. We can't get him for that.
He's just at home cha-chaing. All right. Oh, you mean...
They're just exchanging long protein strands, sir.
All
Two
right.
people watch The Simpsons.
So we had Joe Rogan had both on Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And then to balance it out, he had Fetterman, just... I don't know why he had Fetterman on, but he was willing to have Kamala Harris on, who then played the card of, no, you have to come to me and we can only do an hour, and then turn around and go, how dare you not cater to me, where it's like, fuck you, it's my show. You can come on if you want to, but I'm not making, special arrangements. So I watched all of Donald Trump on Joe Rogan. I don't know if you watched it, but I was very impressed. I thought he came off very likable, but this is the biggest...
looks like the Joker in that thumbnail. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's not a good look for Trump.
This is the biggest bullshit moment I've ever heard from Donald Trump, and if there was ever something I would love to just pin him on and go, all right, I will watch that. Here, like, for example, he started talking about UFC stuff, and I thought that was funny because Joe Rogan actually knows that stuff, and so on that, he was like, yeah, that wasn't what happened in that fight. That wasn't the person. And you could see how many details Donald Trump gets wrong about things, and I was watching it. Listen, Joe Rogan's the king. He's the best, and it was a great interview. It was great. The whole thing was great.
Trump jumped in on commentary on one of those Triller fights, like one of those,
right.
like I think it was the night Roy Jones and Mike Tyson fought, and he has, because he just owns boxing venues, so he thinks he knows about boxing, but he has old man trying to talk to you about
he
something he doesn't know about energy when he talks about fights. It's crazy.
But that's the way he is with every topic.
Yeah, it's true.
So I'm just saying it was funny to just see Joe Rogan criticize him on getting the fight stuff wrong.
But one thing Joe Rogan feels comfortable criticizing an ex-president about is the UFC.
So if there was a moment, though, that I would love to call bullshit and go, all right, let's see it. Let's give this a watch.
I'm in, I'm out, but it gives me, I was never one that could like run on a treadmill. And I can do it. When passing a physical, they asked me to run on a treadmill, and then they make it steeper and steeper and steeper. And the doctor said, it was at Walter Reed, they said, it's unbelievable. I could have gone, I'm telling you, I felt I could have gone all day. But I said, Doc, I can do this all day long. I have no problem. But it's boring to me. Do you understand?
Right.
It's just boring.
Golf's exciting.
I actually so agree with you. Like running? I fucking hate running.
No,
dude.
I'm calling bullshit where I'm like, put him on a fucking treadmill, okay?
Oh, right now?
Yeah. If you're telling me that you could just do an incline treadmill,
I was down at the
a
Y. I
jogging
was
pace.
aquasizing all day. I could have done it forever.
I give him
my fingers were getting pruny, so I got out of the aquasize pool.
I give him 30 seconds before both hip breaks, and all of the McDonald's he ate starts pouring out of his nose.
He says he could. He said, well, the actual thing that he was lying about was he said he could run all day because of golf.
Yeah. I can't even run an incline on a treadmill right now. I'm not in shape for that. That's a very specific in shape.
Yeah.
All right. This was the other. Okay, I got to play this, and then I'll give the commentary. Let's just play this clip for a second.
Speech.
Because for all the times I watched Donald Trump, I just realized a new thing about his speech pattern, and the second I say it, you guys will see it. But let's play it first.
And my speeches last a long time because of the weave, I weave stories into it. And if you just read a teleprompter, nobody's going to be very exciting. You got to weave it out. So you
I noticed he talks like George talking to Jerry. He's
the New York Yankees, Jerry.
I'm a weaver. You gotta weave. Everyone weaves. It's literally like the.
You're killing Independent Donald. The DAs all across the country are killing Independent Donald.
It's literally playing both sides from the diner scenes of the two of them. I'm a weaver, Jerry. You gotta weave. People weave.
You know, it must be impossible to order seltzer at the border and not get salsa.
All right, this was from The Atlantic, and this is incredible. They're claiming that at the end of June, in the afterglow of a debate performance that would ultimately prompt President Joe Biden to end his campaign for re-election, Donald Trump startled his aides by announcing that he'd come up with a new nickname for his opponent. The guy's a retard. He's retarded. I think that's what I'll start calling him. Trump declared aboard his campaign plane en route to a rally that evening. According to 3 people who heard him make the remarks, retarded Joe Biden. Which, whoever talked him out of that sucks.
Yeah. Dude, that's what every guy in every Irish bar in this country calls Joe Biden.
All right. We got a couple more. Next up, we've got Melania showed up to the Madison Square Garden.
Still hot.
Still hot, but let's listen to her talk for a minute.
Hello, Madison Square Garden. Our hometown, where architectural symbols of strength, courage, and unity.
So at first I was like, you forget that he just has an imported slut wife. Like, you know what I mean? You just forget because she's not out there that much. But then I was watching her in another interview. And, all right, here, I'll play it and then I'll give my comment.
It's terrible. He's not Hitler, and all of his supporters, they're standing behind him because they want to see country successful. And we see what kind of support.
The way she talks English as a second language might be the perfect relationship for Donald Trump. Where it's great, it is great, it is. Now, this was making the rounds that Kamala Harris was claiming to have worked at McDonald's. Apparently, there's no record of her ever working at McDonald's. Now, as to why working at McDonald's is a sense of pride for showcasing your leadership skills, I don't understand. But they had put out this picture. I don't think the campaign did. I think maybe it was just other people on the internet. And then they quickly tracked down that, you know, wasn't even a black person. That
Yeah, that is really bad. Here's the thing is, like, you'd believe that was Kamala's neck. Right? Like, look how white that neck is.
You mean because it's so...
And they haven't really color-corrected the neck.
Yeah.
I'm doing a Zapruder film on whether or not she's black right now.
All right. One of the big things coming into this next election, and a reason that perhaps people, well, it's hard to know if voting for Donald Trump means that we'll ramp down some of the tech censorship and things that the left loves, or if it means that they go full scale, batshit crazy again, and they try and censor all of information. But there were some bombshell headlines last week about tech censorship. So the first one is Facebook execs suppress Hunter Biden laptop scandal to curry favor with Biden-Harris admin bombshell report. And then essentially they realized, hey, if we get rid of this story, the Democrats will like us more, which you guys weren't here last night, and it's going to be the second part of this, but that's exactly what I'm talking about with it's indicative that the Washington Post did not endorse Kamala Harris, is that we're moving away from this and that they don't expect the Democrats to win, and so they're not looking to curry favor. So I think that that's a bit of a changing landscape. The next storyline was Joe Rogan was claiming that YouTube was censoring the episode. I personally, when I looked it up, I was able to find it. So that wasn't my personal experience with the episode.
It comes up on his page, but you have to
search it.
You have to search it but it stops.
If you search though, listen, I don't think all of us. I think the algorithms treat searches differently.
I typed in Rogan Trump today because we were talking about this, and the first thing that came up was the Fetterman thing. It's the newest Rogan clip, but you'd think Rogan
that the search would come up
you know
first.
What I mean?
Yeah, that could be.
So it is being throttled in some way.
He also, and this made sense. I mean, I didn't validate this, but. You would think it would be on the front page of YouTube because what else got 30 million views that day? So the idea that this wasn't trending is just insane. You know, if the YouTube
just some PewDiePie video, Mr. Beast gave like 40,000 retards a pencil.
And then there was a story, I think this was out of the Federalist, block community notes we don't like, Harris campaign called red-handed, manipulating X to censor criticism, which is essentially, I guess they were farming engagement to, I think it was both on Reddit and on the community notes on Twitter of, as blocks of people, I guess, like downgrading things or making edits so that they could, rig the algorithms.
I think I kind of think that's fine.
You mean that it's just you're playing the game, and so
at that point,
okay.
I'm sure, it's just all right,
fair enough.
How when you put out your special, I'm just gonna put it on all the TVs at the bar I work in when I open and close, so you get the higher numbers.
There you go. If everyone tomorrow night at 8 p.m. my special comes out,
and also every time you guys are in an Apple store. Just click subscribe on Run Your Mouth and High Society Radio in every single floor phone, and then that counts.
And no one has to watch it, but if you could just click it a bunch, send it to your relatives so they click it, just so I could feel important. That's all I'm looking for. I don't care if anyone likes it. All right, before I got two more stories, but I keep forgetting to plug our fantastic sponsors, sheathunderwear.com. Are you wearing sheaths right? I got my sheaths on right there. Don't go anywhere without it. Sheathunderwear.com. We got any sheathers out here? There you go. That's why he's so comfortable. You see?
The Sheath Underwear guys sponsored me to drive in a demolition derby this year. They fucking rule, dude.
And you faked the results, which I'm still upset about.
I got rocked. Dude, everybody, you know that expression, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face? It's way worse when you get punched in the face with a car.
I swear by Sheath Underwear. If you've never tried it, it is the most comfortable underwear that's ever graced the balls of man. Go stock up for the holiday season. He's going to have some crazy Thanksgiving sales. And I promise you, I got fat thighs. They chafe a whole bunch. You wear your sheaths, and it's very smooth. All right. There you go. All right. So just in terms of the new media nonsense landscape. So I am pretty sure that P. Diddy did horrible things, and I'm starting to get more and more convinced that everyone's been blackmailed and they went to P. Diddy parties, and that's why they're endorsing Kamala Harris. But now I'm reading this article.
Vote or die didn't work, so I'm going to take a picture of you fucking this dude.
So this was an article, I think it was a lady in maybe Japan. Former Playboy Mahdi claims Shin Diddy Combs made her watch Jennifer Lopez video at Freak Off, which, I mean, for everything I've heard about how horrible this is, the fact that you had sex with a stripper while Jennifer Lopez is playing on the TV, that's not news.
Wait. He didn't make her... Did he make her watch a video of Jennifer Lopez having sex?
No, I think it was just the music videos while he was having sex with her.
Oh.
What? No, as far as I understand.
I mean, she looks pretty good in that with the pink booty shorts. I mean, come on.
All right, last news story of today. New York authorities euthanize social media star Peanut the Squirrel, which apparently this guy owned a squirrel. It was a social media star. The authorities came to his house and said that's a rabies risk and then killed the squirrel.
Why would they kill the I fucking hate this. Why would you just let it out into the wild? It's a fucking squirrel.
I think they fucked up because everyone's mad at it, and these are the stories that gets people. It's funny. 3 years ago, I did a joke on my end of year thing that I did here, where imagine if instead of shutting down people's businesses, government told you to avoid COVID, you had to kill your dogs, and then think about the way people would be like, wait a second, what's this COVID thing? And they would start asking questions. And my point was, why is ruining people's lives and businesses less important than people's dogs? Which I understand. I'm a sociopath and I don't care about dogs as much. So, but you get the point that I'm making. These are the interesting stories that I like to showcase to let people be educated on government's not your friend. They will come into your home, they will take your pets, and they will kill them.
First of all, how did they? If they came to my house and they were like,
"We're
"Where's
taking
your
squirrel?"
cat?" I'm like, "Yo, the cat's dead. I would just slam the door in their face.
Right.
The cat died a couple weeks ago. I don't know.
Well, the guy with the pet squirrel's probably not that sharp.
I don't know, man. Squirrels are crafty. You gotta fucking keep that shit in the house.
I was recently, we did a show in Connecticut at this tattoo parlor, and they had a stuffed squirrel on a bike. And then the side bike had like the acorns in it. And I was like, dude, it's creepy to own a stuffed squirrel as like a single man, but I could get very into stuffed squirrels.
Dude, there was a guy who was, what the fuck was that movie where Steve Carell was making all the squirrel taxidermy?
Oh, that was the Dinner for Schmucks, where you got to bring the worst dinner guest.
He did like the Declaration of Independence with squirrels.
There you go.
You
hey, guys,
that in your house.
That is the live pod. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night. Until next time.
Live from Run Your Mouth World Headquarters.
First up, the new Han Solo statue telling fans to look at my dick. Next up, how spontaneously combusting ballot boxes might affect the election, and why Republicans who engage in mischief are so much worse at not getting caught. In other election news, we also talk to optometrists about how checking voter IDs can lead to blindness. Next up, we explore why the media taking stupid shit politicians say seriously is leading to a confusion amongst the general population about what jokes are. And last, why the Kamala campaign is saying that Joe Rogan refuses to have her on due to her womanly-like demands for special treatment, showcasing Joe Rogan's rage for women and the exact toxic masculinity of not being properly catered to while making special demands.
It's your daily dose of misinformation, pulled from a lightly hemorrhoided asshole. It's today's Run Your Mouth!
Firstly, we had Donald Trump. This was a big week for garbage in this country. It's amazing how focused everyone was on garbage. And
I did a demolition derby on Labor Day.
Yeah.
It's always a big week for garbage in this country.
You mean, what, Labor Day?
Yeah. I mean, just demolition derbies are happening all the time, all over this country.
Right.
And it's just the redneck version of using every piece of the buffalo.
You mean of just not letting your car go to the grave with anything left on it?
Yeah.
And you were victorious.
No, I just bought a fake trophy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you suckered me. I thought you went 1-0.
Yeah,
I thought you were.
Sweet sponsor money.
That's
dude.
so funny.
Shout
I
out
even called up Robert. I was like, you wouldn't believe it. He won. I was like, he's 1-0. I hope that Trump wins and does his entire presidency from that exact truck. Just goes back and forth, the charade of McDonald's. I like the Donald Trump, firstly, when he pulls Bugs Bunny stunts like this. And I like micro dirty jobs Donald Trump. I think it's fun.
What do you think? Is the Biden sabotage thing real? Like, is Biden intentionally sabotaging Kamala because he's butthurt about what happened?
Well, I think just picking her to run was sabotage. I don't think she ever had a chance. The question is, all right, I'll lay it out, and then you can tell me. I can see two storylines here in my head. Storyline one was that they needed Kamala Harris to agree to invoke in the 25th, and so the arrangement they made was, if you agree to that, then we'll run you. Option number two is that they forced him out however they did it, and to get back at them, he endorsed Kamala Harris to tank the whole thing.
Doesn't it just feel like that when that guy that owned the Clippers got called a racist by that young black chick? Nobody remembers that? Donald Sterling? That was that guy? It seems like the exact same story to me.
How so? Lay it on me.
No, she basically was just dating this old billionaire to become, whatever, vice president or some such. And then he was like, hey, please stop taking pictures with cooler people than me. Magic Johnson and such.
Right.
Because his old friends were making fun of him.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then she
You don't want your lady having fake AIDS.
Yeah, exactly. And then she just videotaped him and made him a racist. He had to sell the Clippers.
That sucks.
The worst team in basketball at the time.
For more money than he bought it for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not all bad.
Well, the one that I like
Yeah.
is so basically Obama was the one who pushed Biden out, and Obama wanted an open primary.
Right.
And then the counter sabotage was to stick them with Kamala to screw the Obama camp.
Right.
And so this is actually all a bunch of like Democratic in faction fighting.
And they were willing to tank it just to get back at Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. You know, if I had a gay boss, I'd feel the same way. All right, so let's get into a couple news topics. So first is, I don't even know what I have first. Let's play it, and then I can, we'll see what's here.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
Dude, he sounds like my nephew. How do you like my truck?
I got a new Hess truck.
This one might be played out, but I like that it's garbage can, not garbage cans.
Okay. Well, I just like the, I love when Donald Trump is in full Bugs Bunny mode and he's just pissing people off. Like, I don't care if nothing changes. If he can just pull stunts like this all the time, I'm along for the ride. That's fun.
It's the best reason to vote for. It's not about politics. This is what I learned, actually,
Yes.
about MAGA. Like, because I've been doing some, like, door knocking and exploring, and it's like anyone with a MAGA sign is like, I hate leftists. Like this is what MAGA is. It's like I hate leftists. And anyone with a MAGA sign, anyone wearing a MAGA hat, and you go up to them, and you're just like, do you hate leftists? They're like, yes, I hate them so much. And this is what the coalition is. It took me. I'm like an autist, so like other people got this in like 6 months. It took me like 8 years, and I finally understand that that's what MAGA is. It's just like, oh, I hate leftists. I'm like, oh, I was on that team the whole time.
You guys believe anything? We believe we hate these assholes.
Oh, they have no idea how to get anything done. None at all. They have no idea how to achieve anything, how to accomplish any policies, how the government works. They know nothing about the government or policy or politics. They probably won't even vote. They're just like, I hate leftists, so I put this sign up. And
well, it's amazing to me that in the final moments of this election, there's zero conversation about policy, and it's just yelling over who's made more offensive comments, which seems to be basically the new way the news operates. Is everyone pretending to be offended and taking things literally? I almost call it, it's almost like the Amelia Bedelia books, but it's for taking statements literally and then pretending like you're offended by said statements. And so to showcase such, here's a clip.
4 days out from Election Day, and former President Donald Trump is escalating his violent rhetoric, suggesting one of his most prominent critics, the former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, should be fired upon.
my problem with these is
radical war.
What was that?
So every time they take these out of context, I'm like, but that's what I want.
Also, I haven't seen this, but I feel like he's about to suggest she should go hunting with her father. That bitch looks like a quail. Have you seen her squawk around?
Like, the fake version of Donald Trump is who I want to vote for.
Yes. All right, so let's watch what Donald Trump said that they're getting on the news seriously to go, Donald Trump wants to murder
her with a
Cheney.
rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy.
Let's see how she feels when the guns are trained on her face.
Yes.
Let's sit with that for a
Let's
moment.
see how she feels.
I think that is actually a fair thing to say about somebody who's willing to send people to die in a war.
Exactly.
Stupid fucking She also, again, I mean, everybody here knows it. She sold out her sister for lesing out. I mean, fuck you, lady. Your sister seems cool as shit to me.
I thought she was the lesbian. There's another daughter.
No, the other daughter. And apparently there's like a thing where Cheney was just like, throw her under the bus.
I did not realize that. I thought she was the carpet muncher. No. There's another one. Yeah. I didn't realize that.
There's a fucking crunchier carpet to munch somewhere.
I like how you're trying to out autistic CNN as they're taking it literally and going, no, let's take it literally.
I just want a candidate to be serious about this. That's what I'm here for.
So he's obviously making a nuanced point of everyone's a war hawk if it's somebody else with their life on the line. But it's...
You can't weave nuance. I think that's Donald Trump's problem.
Well, Donald Trump,
Yes.
I've noticed, he can only speak concretely. So he can only tell, like, he couldn't say, like, imagine if there was a gun in front of you. He can only say Kamala Harris needs to have a gun. He can. There's no abstraction in any of his speech. It's an interesting thing once you notice it, but it's always a concrete example, never an abstract example.
That guy's out autisting you right now. It's like one of those Russian dolls up here. All right, so 10 years from now, I'm predicting every news show is just going to be this ongoing game of how dare you. Zero conversation about policy, how to fix things. It's just how do I bust this guy and pretend like I'm upset? And so here was one of the big clips from last week.
You don't want to be called Nazis. Stop doing.
You're called an
You've
been called an anti-Semite more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying I don't.
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah. I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should.
Wow. You should not. No.
Solid line.
I love that line.
Yeah, well, wait for the reaction.
Oh,
Did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
Hold on. Did your guest just say I should be killed on live TV?
I said I hope you
Guys, let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
Because you said I'm a supporter
of the Palestinians.
Exactly. He literally said he hopes
Palestinian.
Yeah, he said, I hope you don't get killed on this broadcast. And also, he wouldn't die. He would just blow his hip off. Come on. You still have your dick. I mean, it's on the side. What are you wearing your beeper? What the fuck is wrong with people?
So I believe both of you are a little bit older than I am. Do you guys remember politics always being this way of instead of a discussion about policy in any capacity, it was just let's try and find one thing the other person said and pretend like it's offensive?
I think politics being about policy is always kind of fake, actually. I think politics has always been about coalitions and people forming groups and whatever, and like the policy stuff is for like the 2% of autists who get like lied to about it being about policy, and they're like, it's about policy. It's like, no, it's not. That's fake.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. So we can, before we take a look at the Biden gaffe that got him in trouble after the Tony Hinchcliffe thing, we can take a look at the White House celebrations of, I don't know if you guys know this, but it was Have Your Child's Foot in the President's Mouth Day. I don't know if you guys remember that this was an annual celebration. Yeah, because Biden's not even in retirement, and he's already out there chewing on kids.
Wait, is that first kid dressed like a turkey?
Oh, so you're saying Biden...
Pardon the human turkey?
Yeah, Biden's having an early Thanksgiving because that's what he's used to having on his table is a baby dressed as a turkey. So they were parading kids in front of Joe Biden who could not resist taking fake bites of all of them and putting, feet into his mouth. And then you got to watch every parent walk away and go, maybe I didn't need to meet the president.
How did they not tell? Nobody was just like after the first foot in the mouth, right?
You would think.
He put clearly at least 2 full unclothed baby feet.
Well, you got to merge this with the other theory. Biden's for Trump. Okay, that's why he put the hat on.
Right.
That's why he called them garbage. Biden's actually on Team Trump.
Interesting. So that brings us to the garbage comment, which here he is, right after everyone got all furious with Tony Hinchcliffe, which clearly was a joke. It's so stupid that we're going to take jokes literally and then pretend like that's representative of the entire opinion of Republicans. The entire thing is nonsense. But while they were trying to drum up all the nonsense talk of, look, how dare the Republican Party call a demographic of people in this country garbage, here was Joe Biden.
Donald Trump has no character. He doesn't give a damn about the Latino community. He's failed businessman. He only cares about the billionaire friends he has and accumulating wealth for those at the top. He says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Give me a break. He wants to do away with the birthright.
Firstly, I want this face filter. He's got better skin than I do right now. I like that.
Citizenship. Who the hell has said that in the last 100 years? And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done.
All right, so just to follow the parade of nonsense, Tony Hinchcliffe makes a joke. The liberals try and take the joke seriously and go, this is going to cost Donald Trump the election because Donald Trump just called Latin Americans garbage. Then Joe Biden gets on the news the next day and calls all Republican voters garbage, and they turn around
No,
and
he
go,
calls everybody who supported Donald Trump or was thinking of voting for him garbage.
Right.
Which, you know what? I've been in a camp in New York City recently. A lot of Latinos.
So I hand it to you, Mr. Chris. How do you think the Democrats responded to Joe Biden making these comments?
Favorably, I think they're gonna agree. Oh, did they just disown him? By the way, can we just acknowledge that he looks like John Wayne playing Genghis Khan?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. They did option B, which was they went, yeah, that guy's old and retarded. We would never listen to him. They totally 180'd, and so yeah, they went, hey, we all know that he's not very good at reading teleprompters. So White House transcript attempts to alter Biden's garbage dig at Trump supporters in desperate bid to spin massive campaign blunder. They tried to pretend like there was a missing asterisk. And then here you have Andrew Yang addressing this. Here.
Wait, hold on. Missing asterisk?
It doesn't even make sense. Or apostrophe.
All the headlines on this, like the New York Times was like, Biden appears to call Trump supporters garbage. They put appears or like.
And by the way, they actually changed the transcript, which apparently is a violation of the Presidential Records Act. But here he is addressing it. Previous presidential candidate didn't make it very far, but the guy who likes universal basic income, so you know he's not that bright. But here he is.
Do undecided voters hear those two sound bites? Does that move people or no?
Look, I don't think many voters buy that Joe Biden is actually referring to half the country as garbage. People know that Joe Biden is an 81-year-old who tends to garble a message, and that's why he's not the nominee anymore. But the Republican, but the Republican Party is grasping at it because they want to turn the page on the rhetoric that offended Puerto Ricans, and there happen to be 450,000 Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania, and so that this is purely a political device. I don't think it sticks because
the lack of character to have him up there for 4 years and say, even to the very end, he's running the country, and then to turn around and go, yeah, well, he's old and retarded.
And as recently as June, May, we had the New York Times, CNN, all saying he's sharp as a tack.
Yes.
This was a talking point at the time, and they pivot on a dime with no memory of what came before. It's like living in 1984.
Right.
Let me ask you guys a question. When Joe Biden calls Andrew Yang's dad's restaurant, who's more confused?
I'm looking for chicken. Chicken? Yeah.
What?
You got chicken?
Oh, what size?
What do you...
I'm also doing Joe Biden, not a racist Asian voice. Just so you know.
Can you put some kids' feet in there?
Small lot.
I'd like a large...
You like spicy? Medium spicy or regular spicy?
This is a pizza place, right? You got the kids' feet? I want a large.
You know, Joe Biden actually agrees that like Puerto Rico's garbage too.
Oh,
he's totally from a different generation. Like you listen to Biden in the 1980s, he sounds like Donald Trump. like this is just him trying to be a politician in the modern era.
Earlier today, I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump supporters at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. It's not that easy to read. I give him a pass. That's all I meant to say. The comments at that rally don't reflect who we are as a nation. All right. And I think I already played this. I hand it to you, Mr. Kaufman, as we come into this voting season. Do you have any ideas for what might make for a better system for voting? You were saying that nobody cares about policy. It's about winning coalitions, which I guess revolves around free stuff. You know, it's very hard to get on the ballot.
I mean, I have like a million ideas. I mean, I think one of the simplest ones is to not let people who don't contribute to society vote.
Okay.
Like why? Because we're in this scenario
So government employees are out.
Absolutely. Government employees, anyone receiving benefits in excess of their taxes, all this. Like there's so much incentive to continue to vote for more stuff for yourself.
Right.
You get to go to the polls. You make money going to the polls. You go and vote for stuff for yourself.
And how do you protect against corporate welfare in that system of the people that aren't necessarily on paper being leeches through like Medicare or food stamps or otherwise, but
those women should be stripping. Make money on those.
But how do you keep the people within the winning coalition from just having more power to leech and rob from the machine?
Well, I think any anyone that's receiving any benefits, that's receiving subsidies, this kind of thing, we can attempt to attribute it. And if you're receiving too many, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. I mean, I would prefer things far more private and less democratic than this.
Right.
But this is like my common sense popular reform,
Right.
and not my far right. Everyone thinks.
But if you look at like corporate welfare of all the bailouts, for example, that go to like Wall Street, and you compare, I mean, I don't know the numbers. What's the numbers on like?
Sure, I think that's entirely appropriate. Like
Right.
when all that money went, in, I mean, that money shouldn't have gone to.
So
any of the
people in
banks.
entire sectors, if there's a tie-in with free government money going to that sector, so chances are if you're an educator, I mean, you'd end up with like a very small. You'd end up with
Great.
New Hampshire.
Yeah, New Hampshire's the only people who get to vote. 'cause we-
Only drug dealers can vote.
There you
Perfect.
go.
They're probably good capitalists. I mean, are they being honest about their drugs? Are their drugs good? Are they, are they lying?
All right, what's your next best common sense idea for voting reform?
Doing less nationally would be like another really big
I like
thing.
that. Okay.
The more that like we can return to the idea of a laboratory of states competing against each other, I think this is one of the biggest problems is like we see people from Massachusetts coming up here to influence and vote on our politics. Like abortion has to be this national
Fuck those
issue. All
massholes.
these things become national issues.
We call that pandering.
It's like
Canadians and British people are stumping for Kamala right now.
Oh, really? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
Nah,
you.
well, I'm
Yeah.
like being serious when we're supposed to tell jokes, so I'm screwing it up.
No.
But
You're great.
Like we disagree on all these things, and like maybe this is again me being autistic, but like, isn't a sensible solution to this to like live with people we agree with and don't live around people we don't agree with? It just seems like a really obvious answer, and so the more you can go in that direction, the better outcomes you get.
I'm okay with that. Mr. Chris, you got any ideas for...
I've always agreed with Puerto Ricans. I'll tell you that right now. Just they'll stab you if you don't.
There you go. Just across... You want to come in with across-the-board blanket endorsement for Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, I'm pro-Puerto Rican.
Pro-Puerto Rican. There you go. All right.
Men and women?
Well,
Mostly the women.
I have a starting point solution, which I think we have a problem in this country that most people...
Then also big pun, just to be clear.
Most people, I find, are not actually voting for a candidate as much as they're just voting against somebody else. And typically speaking, I probably will not vote in this election, but in most elections, I felt like if you don't force them to earn your vote, then you're just kind of... You're making it cheap, and you'll never be represented if you're just voting against somebody else. In this election, I see some of what the Democrats are doing with tech censorship, open borders, pushing these foreign wars. I fully understand showing up to vote for Donald Trump and trying to kind of minimize the damage of how quickly the left seems to be destroying the values that I prefer in our country. All right, but with the idea of just that too many people are voting against somebody, I was thinking of perhaps a voting system that allows us to track that, whereas opposed to just a simple vote for somebody, you have a strongly support, somewhat support, I just hate the other guy and this is slightly better, or I hate that these are my two options but would rather be stuck with this one but strongly oppose both candidates. And I think if we could get 75% of the country selecting option 4, that would be a valuable data point to limit the authority of government and go, you don't actually have a large mandate. And I mean this. I think it's a shame that we don't, like, at a minimum...
Yeah, like a no confidence vote.
A no confidence vote where you go, I prefer this to the other one, and so I'm engaging in and I bet this would even increase the amount of people that would show up and vote, because you could actually basically protest vote, mark that it's a protest vote, but I go, between these two piles of shit, I prefer this pile of shit.
I love that. I love it because I do think like I'm a pragmatist at the end of the day, and so it's like I do think you have to vote for like if my choice is between eating like a stale piece of bread or a literal pile of shit, like I don't want to eat either of them, but one of them is still worse, and so but the ability to register that they're both terrible, this one is worse, I like the idea, because I've never been enthusiastic about voting for anyone. But I do often vote for the lesser of two evils because I think that's the only option I have.
All right. And now...
Don't you live in Pennsylvania, by the way?
No, I live in Connecticut.
That's a shithole state. We don't need to care.
There you go. All right. And now we've got Donald Trump claiming Pennsylvania is cheating and getting caught at large-scale levels rarely seen before. Report cheating to authorities. Law enforcement must act now. So do you guys think that we are going to have a Do you think that this election will be completely rigged? How blatant do you think the election fraud is going to be? Do you think if there is blatant election fraud, Donald Trump might actually prove it this time? Do you think Donald Trump, the election will be robbed from him and it'll go down kicking and screaming? What do you guys actually anticipate for how this election will go down?
I think the biggest thing is like ballot harvesting. It's insane that you can just collect pieces of paper and they count as votes for people. And this is clearly happening at a mass scale. And whether you want to call this rigging, I would consider it rigging. But it depends
The
on
Trump
what you mean by
campaign
rigging.
is also doing
Yeah.
it in like Lancaster to the Amish.
One would hope
It's happening everywhere.
one would hope that the Republicans are catching up, but in 2020,
So
the
ballot
Democrats
harvesting, just like that's going into basically an old age home and getting old people to sign the documents.
get them any way you can. They're not
Right.
investigating them. If you get a valid ballot, fill it out.
What a waste of manipulating the old. You could get like stocks and fucking
That's a
gold
great
coins and
fucking
shit.
joke. There you go. The idea that you're going to go and get them to sign a document they weren't interested in, it's
You
not
could've-
for their
you could've
life.
got a fucking house.
In New Hampshire, the only way you can vote is by showing up the day of the vote and showing an ID and filling out a paper ballot. And that's the way voting should work. And we're one of the only states where it still works that way. And it's really screwed up that all these states have corrupted their democracy.
Right. I mean, I agree with that 100%. Mr. BK Chris, what do you anticipate in terms of voter fraud in this upcoming election?
I mean, no matter what happens on either side, nobody's going to admit that they lost, right? And then a bunch of people are going to be like, there was no fraud. And then the other people are going to be like, there was nothing but fraud.
Well, I feel like the entire country will believe that Kamala Harris lost. Like, even the Democrats will go, yeah, that makes sense. I think if Kamala Harris wins, even the Democrats will be like, wait, really? That's my general. All right.
And there's also like I will say one thing, like the appearance of corruption is corruption. Like whether you think the elections are corrupt or not, you can't have a process that appears to be corrupt. Like if people lose faith in the process doesn't work. And so we have to have a process that we believe in. And if people aren't believing in the process, then the process has failed, whether it's corrupted or not.
Right. Also, if you're scanning my fucking face at the airport, you can check an ID and scan the face and go, this is an actual person, and be done with it. And we could also, with the amount of drone technology...
Get into those fights on Spirit flights, though, you know what I mean? That's why they have to scan your face.
With the amount of facial recognition software that exists in the world and drone technology that we have in the world, the idea that you can't be filming everyone that comes into a voter place and then running it against social media and seeing if you're flagging people that are clearly non-citizens with social media accounts, the way that they track down everyone that was inside the buildings on January 6th, if we wanted to have fair and honest elections, we could. And the idea that checking an ID is a racist policy is such a ridiculous cop-out from the Democrats. I don't know how even the Democrats accept it. All right, so in terms of cheating that's already been observed or reported, at least on Twitter, which, Twitter is a clusterfuck, but the first one, which caught my eye, and this is a real one, Supreme Court allows Virginia to purge voter rolls ahead of the election. So apparently you either had numerous... Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Vote to sit on my face.
What? Anyways,
You can punch all the ballots. I don't give a shit. I'll hang a Chad right over her fucking face.
If you just let people who looked like her vote, would you get a better result or a worse result?
Oh, definitely worse. There's no way you get a better result.
but you might have free spa days and fake tits, so,
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah. What's
I think she's voting Republican. That's a Republican.
It could be. So all right, just to give you guys the scoop, as far as I understand it, either there were a large amount of voters who should have been legitimate voters, but at the time that they registered, they weren't yet legal citizens and they shouldn't have been on the rolls, or you had a large amount of voters that should not have been on the roll on the voter rolls, and the argument was that you're not allowed to make changes within 90 days of an election, and whether or not those protections should exist for people that are non-citizens or shouldn't be voting. Now, what catches my eye about this... No. All right. So it doesn't matter. What catches my eye about this is that this case is being decided 3 days before the election. How many cases didn't even make it to the Supreme Court? So the idea that we have a good system, if there needed to be a Supreme Court case to remove non-voters from the voter rolls, and you can speak to how hard it is to actually get a court case in front of a judge. It's a hell of a process. So think about how many things didn't even get there.
Yeah. Look, no one's playing fair. The Republicans are more retarded, so they end up playing more fair just because they're stupider, because they're like not as good at cheating. But they would cheat if they were smarter. They'd be better at it. And so everyone's trying to like cheat in the sense that they're trying to like nudge the system in their direction. And this gets back to, I mean, we're completely fraying. No one trusts the other side. This sort of idea, all of the ideas of civics and American democracy and this system that works that we learned in school 30 years ago or 20 years, it's fake, and it's completely falling apart, and there's no sign that it's coming back.
I agree entirely. All right, so here are some of the other just wild things that have already been reported. Here was a video of person claiming to be on the highway and just finding massive amounts of votes.
So así es como nosotros no vamos a pasar las elecciones. This is 2024.
I mean, he's Mexican, so you can trust him or not.
Look at that. Y eso está sellado. That's sealed. Look at that. Official materials. ¿Cómo eso estaba en el medio de la calle botado? Yo quiero que tú me expliques eso. That's crazy. No, se le cayó algo. No quiero oír nada.
I mean, it's a big country. Things can fall off a truck. Who knows? All right. Here's the next one. There's already been reports of the machines changing votes. And so we all know how finicky. He's trying to vote for Donald Trump, desperately wants to vote for Donald Trump, keeps clicking it, and it just keeps clicking Kamala Harris instead. Now, is that a random machine? It certainly could be. It's a large country, but they're already having reports of this. Now, this was from the Wall Street Journal. This was, I'm not sure if I can read it from here. Can you read it, Mr. Kaufman, or is it too blurry?
Oh, this is awkward to admit, but I can't read.
At all. The CEO of Odyssey.
I just talk.
All right, basically, to give you guys, we can just skip it. I can't read it.
Pennsylvania becomes epicenter for Trump's
Well,
vote
essentially,
fraud claim.
I think they shut down a voting site while there were still people in line that were largely Trump voters. I think that was it. All right, let's move on to...
Just do paper ballots, make people show up the day of, give them a piece of paper, make them show you a state identification, and then they get to vote. Like, we had a system that worked, and we threw it away because of COVID, and then the Democrats wanted to keep it because it let them rig things.
Go back to kindergarten rules. I got this figured out. You ready for this, Jeremy Kaufman?
Yeah.
You walk in to the voting site, you show them your ID, and they give you a official designated popsicle stick. And then they got buckets. And you just drop it in either the Trump bucket or the Kamala Harris bucket, and then we weigh them, and you figure out the count by like the way they do tickets in the arcade. Finished.
Paper ballots are auditable though, so you have each piece of paper.
Yeah.
Because there was this
Fair
one.
enough.
There was this one in Michigan. I don't know if you have this in your role,
Well,
but there's this one.
you could barcode with my system. You come in, you barcode it, it goes into the thing, everything gets sealed up, and you can start checking some barcodes.
Yeah, but I've seen all of these. I don't know if you have any of these in your. I'm not trying to spoil anything you have coming up, but I've seen these Europeans, your European nationals in America, like trying to vote as a lark. And a lot of them are
just getting away with it. Yeah, I don't know if you want to broadcast that online. Just all right. So this story I found fascinating. For the first time, maybe in the entire history of the paper, the Washington Post did not endorse a candidate. And the tea leaves to me are that people are getting nervous that Kamala Harris isn't winning. And so they don't want to be on Donald Trump's bad side.
And so 100% what it was. Jeff Bezos in particular, didn't he lose all those Blue Origin grants and stuff when...
I'm not...
Like, a lot of stuff went to Elon Musk because Jeff Bezos shitted on Trump so much when he was running the first time.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's the tea leaves to me is they just don't want the heat. And compared to, for example, what happened with COVID, where everyone, I pledge allegiance to what Fauci said, and part of the system is that the most elites will always go, I pledge allegiance to the thing that I'm supposed to pledge allegiance to. And so this time we're actually getting some dissent where people are not going, I'll pledge allegiance to Kamala Harris, because unlike what we saw with the ESG scores, they're like, hey, I got a business to run, and this isn't good for my business to be picking sides in politics.
Well, I think this one is fascinating. This is actually, I think, in terms of going into the future, one of the biggest things that's happened this cycle, because we've seen both the LA Times and the Washington Post not endorse when they've endorsed in the past. The Washington Post, which already loses $70 million a year, lost 12% of its subscriber base in the last 48 hours.
Post was similar. It was 10%.
That's what I was saying, Washington Post. I thought it was up to 12, actually. And so anyway, these journalistic outlets have been 96% Democrats, right? Like even the centrist media, the AP, Reuters, it's all Democrats. Like any media that's not explicitly labeled right wing is left wing. There is no centrist media. It's all left wing media. And we haven't seen a successful pushback to this, but we're now seeing both the LA Times and the Washington Post push back against this and try to move back to the center. It's a very big question whether it will work or whether these places will collapse. But this is like kind of unprecedented in several decades. And I think this is actually a reason to be optimistic about the future.
Well, what you were talking about where it's more optics than it is policy. So the fact that Bezos is concerned with, hey, we don't actually look like, even if they aren't an honest media organization, the fact that he goes, hey, the fact that we're always picking a team doesn't make us look honest. And so they don't want to pledge allegiance to one side because they realize it's bad for business. Along the lines of what you were saying where policy doesn't matter, I think that showcases that the left and censorship is starting to weaken, because if people don't all pledge allegiance to it, it starts losing its grip.
Zuckerberg's pushing back. And I think Zuckerberg is like a soulless sociopath.
It's just business. He just realizes it's bad for business.
He wedded himself to the Biden-Harris regime because he thought it was good for his business. They put him in front of Congress regardless, and now he's kind of being like, well, screw you. I'm not going to marry you if you won't.
Dude, one of my favorite things ever is him glitching out while AOC is trying to get the own you moment. You ever seen that video? Where he just keeps going, what'd you say? She's just snapping her fingers at him. Like
I've talked to some friends of his, and they kind of seem to indicate that this was a moment, that this is why he's now wearing gold chains and dressing like a thug, because he's like done with the left at this point, because he thought the left would be nice to him if he was nice to them, and they weren't, and so he's like, I'm out, and he's now trying to move to the right.
All right, so to give the short, basically he says we don't have the optics are not that we're a legitimate media organization and that there's bias here, and if there's the optics, even if we're doing good work, the optics are more important, kind of what you were saying with the voting, if people don't have faith in it. And then he goes, it's not a business decision, it's not quid pro quo, all that's horseshit. He obviously is looking at the election and, risk versus reward. He doesn't think Kamala Harris is winning, and so it's not worth the endorsement and losing, having Donald Trump be upset with them.
Can you really be an independent newspaper if you endorse the Democrat every 4 years?
Right, it does. You're obviously not. Now, on the point that you were making, that I guess it's up to 12% of their readers left, what's fascinating about that is that the readers are basically saying, hey, guys, we were playing a game here, which is we were all going to pretend like we were in the elite, in the no group, and you know what I mean? It's like we're supposed to be in an LARP here. We understand that you're not giving us honest news, but we're playing for a side here, and we're all playing along. So that's why I buy this paper. I buy this paper so that I can read the information that I like, and we can remain in control and pretend that this is the opinion of mainstream media. So I found that was kind of a fascinating insight into the readership, that the readership itself is like, what are you talking about? We're all supposed to be in on this LARP together. Like, that's why I buy this.
How many people do you think the New York Times would have lost if they refused to endorse Kamala?
I bet the proportions are probably the same. So however much bigger the New York Times is, I bet it's the same 10 to 12%. Yeah.
Everybody else is just Wordle.
Yeah.
That's been one of the harder red pills for me to take, but most people are not interested in the truth. Most people are interested in arguments that reinforce their beliefs. They go around collecting arguments that reinforce their beliefs. And so the Washington Post is not going to reinforce their beliefs, so they don't want the arguments anymore.
All right. We got one last topic here, and that is, this was just along the lines of, it seems to me, the tea leaves are that Donald Trump is winning because people with better data and in the know seem to be trying to cozy up a little bit, as reported by the Wall Street Journal. All right, and now...
Yeah, go
Wait,
for it.
do they think he's going to win, or do they also not like Puerto Ricans?
All right, let's give this a watch, and then we'll comment and call it an episode.
Thank you. And we also have somebody that is great, and look, we're not going to let him go too crazy, Elon, with the oil and gas stuff, and because Robert F. Kennedy cares more about human beings and health and the environment than anybody. And he's going to be having him is such a great honor. I've been friends of his for a long time. And I'm going to let him go wild on health. I'm going to let him go wild on the food. I'm going to let him go wild on medicines. The only thing I don't think I'm going to let him even get near is the liquid gold that we have under our
feet. So...
By the way, they're in a movie theater and it's just butter.
Jeremy, if you're autistic, do vaccines make your kids not autistic or even more autistic?
Oh, it's like a cartoon character getting hit with a hammer and getting amnesia and then curing amnesia and getting amnesia.
Look, I might get hate for this. I'm not a huge RFK fan, but I think RFK is probably still better than whoever's in charge at the FDA and CDC.
Well, here we go. We've got the actual video of RFK talking about the health organizations he believes he's going to be running.
He's going to make everyone in.
President Trump has asked me to reorganize the.
You sure that's not Megatron from the Decepticons?
Look, he's going to make every man in America take steroids, and America's going to become a much better place.
If I'm in charge, everyone will have hemorrhoids.
Federal health agencies, the agencies that have a portfolio that affects human health.
Can we let him run the health but not have to listen to him?
That's actually why I wanted him to become the president, so I wouldn't have to hear the president talk ever.
I think he only written memos.
There you go.
CDC, NIH, FDA, as well as some of the agencies within the United States Department of Agriculture. He's asked me to clean up the corruption, number one. Number two, end the conflicts of interest.
I didn't notice this, but Stephen Smith's got to
just
give
saw
up on
that.
that little bit of hair. It's gone. It looks like he's wearing a yarmulke.
So why is he still getting that lined up?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Return those agencies to their rich tradition of gold standard, empirically based, evidence-based science, evidence-based medicine.
All right, Jeremy.
There's no era in which they were good. There's no era in which these organizations were good. There's no golden past of the FDA to return to. So, I think all of it's crazy, and I honestly don't trust him being in charge at all. But is he better than how bad the current system is? Maybe.
Fair enough. BK Chris, closing words?
I don't understand what this panel is that's talking to him. Why is Geraldo and Stephen
I don't know.
Famed health expert. Stephen
All right,
A.
let's bear with me. I don't want to do edits later. Let's do a quick round of plugs. Episode was brought to you by YoKratom.com, home of the $60 kilo, and SheathUnderwear.com. Promo code RYM for 20% off the greatest underwear that's ever graced the balls of man. And then this Sunday night, 8 p.m., I have my debut comedy special coming out. BK Chris, what do you got to plug?
I mean, I just taped my
There you go.
half hour here.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't follow the actress from DKLIN.
I don't like that yours got more claps.
They just saw the jokes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, they fucking killed it.
Jeremy Calvin.
I'm mainly here to plug New Hampshire, having libertarian comedy shows. I think only happens here, so you should come to one. You can come to New Hampshire any time of year, and there's more happening here for libertarians than there is in most states.
Can I actually just say something that I just found? You guys have these moving in parties for new people that move in, right?
That's right. We're like libertarian Mormons.
But it's this weird thing. So I see all these.
Do you sleep with their wives?
And a lot of.
I don't like that stare.
Man, that was the most autistic thing he's done. But I just wanted to say, just to plug New Hampshire a little bit, it's an interesting thing. Cause I get a lot of memes in my feed because I am from New York and I'm a townie, right? So, but people seem to think that every time somebody does something voluntary, it's communism. But voluntary is not communism. It's not socialism. It's voluntary. Voluntarism is just being nice to your friends.
Yeah, a lot of people are stupid.
Yeah.